What if I told you that in the next few minutes, you're going to learn something that could silence the chaos in your mind forever? I know, you've probably heard promises like this before. But stick with me here, because what you're about to discover isn't just another self-help trick. This is the exact same practice that has kept wise people calm for over 2,500 years. While everyone else is running around stressed, anxious, and overwhelmed, there's a group of people who found the secret to inner peace. And today, I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you exactly how they do it. No fluff, no complicated steps, just the raw truth about how to find silence in a noisy world. Trust me, your future self is going to thank you for watching this. The practice of silent meditation begins with something you've been doing since the moment you were born: breathing. But here's what most people never realize. There's a difference between breathing to stay alive and breathing to find peace. When you sit quietly and simply watch your breath, without trying to change it or control it, something magical happens. Your mind, which usually jumps from thought to thought like a restless monkey, begins to settle. Think of your breath as an anchor in a stormy sea. Every time your mind drifts away, and it will hundreds of times, you gently guide your attention back to this anchor. Some people count their breaths from 1 to 10, then start over. Others simply notice the feeling of air entering and leaving their body. The method doesn't matter as much as the kindness you show yourself when you realize your mind has wandered. This isn't about becoming perfect at focusing. It's about becoming comfortable with the process of returning. Each time you notice your mind has drifted and bring it back, you're building a muscle, the muscle of awareness. This muscle grows stronger not through force, but through gentle, consistent practice. Every person needs a place where they can be completely themselves, free from the expectations and demands of the world. For meditation, this doesn't need to be a fancy room or expensive cushion. It can be a corner of your bedroom, a chair by the window, or even a spot in your garden. What matters is that this space becomes associated in your mind with peace and stillness. The way you sit matters too, but not in the way you might think. You don't need to twist yourself into complicated positions. Simply sit with your back straight, but not rigid, as if an invisible string is gently pulling the top of your head toward the ceiling. Your hands can rest naturally in your lap. The goal is to be comfortable enough that your body doesn't distract you, but alert enough that you don't fall asleep. Consistency becomes your greatest teacher here. Choosing the same time each day, even if it's just 5 minutes, creates a rhythm that your mind begins to expect and welcome. It's like training a wild animal. Patience and routine work better than force ever could. Just as there are many ways to climb a mountain, there are many ways to find silence within yourself. Some people find peace by focusing on their breath, while others prefer to repeat a simple word or phrase silently in their mind. Some discover clarity by sitting perfectly still, while others prefer to walk slowly, feeling each step as it touches the ground. The beauty of this practice lies in finding what works for you. You might spend weeks with one approach, then discover that another method suddenly feels right. This isn't inconsistency, it's wisdom. Your inner landscape changes, and sometimes you need different tools for different terrain. What remains constant across all these approaches is the quality of attention you bring. Whether you're sitting in perfect stillness or moving with mindful awareness, the goal is the same: to be fully present with whatever you're experiencing without trying to make it different from what it is. Here's what no one tells you about meditation. Your mind will fight you. It will throw up thoughts, worries, plans, and memories like a child having a tantrum. This isn't a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're doing it right. You're finally paying attention to what's been happening in your head all along. The secret isn't to stop these thoughts. That's impossible. The secret is to change your relationship with them. Instead of getting caught up in each thought like a fish on a hook, You learn to watch them come and go like clouds in the sky. Some clouds are dark and stormy, others are light and pleasant, but they all pass if you don't hold on to them. When emotions arise during meditation, and they will, treat them with the same gentle awareness. If sadness comes, acknowledge it without judgment. If anger appears, notice it without feeding it. If fear shows up, observe it without running away. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming free from being controlled by your emotions. Now that you've learned to create silence within yourself, it's time to discover the second habit that will transform how you experience the world around you. Most people think listening is simple. You just use your ears, right? Wrong. Real listening is an art that goes far deeper than sound. It's about opening yourself completely to receive what life is trying to teach you. Think about the last conversation you had. Were you really listening, or were you just waiting for your turn to speak? Most people spend conversations preparing their response instead of truly hearing what's being said. This habit creates a wall between you and everyone else, and you don't even realize it's there. True listening starts with emptying yourself of the need to have an answer ready. When someone speaks to you, instead of immediately forming opinions or preparing what you'll say next, simply receive their words like a calm lake receives raindrops. Notice how your mind wants to jump in with judgments, advice, or corrections. Just notice this urge, but don't act on it. The magic happens when you give someone your complete attention without trying to fix, change, or respond to what they're sharing. People can feel this difference immediately. They sense that you're truly present with them, not just physically there while your mind races elsewhere. Step outside right now and listen. Not to music or podcasts or the noise of traffic, but to the layers of sound that nature provides for free. There's always a symphony playing around you. Birds calling, wind moving through trees, insects humming their ancient songs. Most people never really hear any of this because their minds are too busy with internal chatter. Start with one sound. Maybe it's a bird singing nearby. Follow that sound with your attention, like you would follow a melody. Notice how it rises and falls, how it starts and stops. Then expand your awareness to include another layer, perhaps the rustle of leaves. Keep adding layers until you're hearing the full orchestra of life that surrounds you every moment. This practice teaches you something profound. There's always beauty available to you, always peace within reach, if you just know how to tune in. Nature never stops offering its gifts. You just have to remember how to receive them. Here's where things get really interesting. Just as you learn to watch your thoughts during meditation, now you're going to listen to them differently. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts every day, but most of them are just noise, repetitive worries, old stories you tell yourself, mental habits that serve no purpose. But hidden in all that mental chatter is a quiet voice that knows things your thinking mind doesn't. Some people call it intuition, others call it wisdom. But whatever you call it, learning to hear this voice will change everything about how you make decisions. This inner voice doesn't shout or demand attention. It whispers. It suggests rather than commands. And it only speaks when your mind is quiet enough to hear it. This is why the first habit of silent meditation was so important. It created the space for this deeper listening to become possible. You've learned to find silence within yourself and to truly listen to the world around you. Now comes perhaps the most challenging yet liberating habit of all, freeing yourself from the exhausting need to be liked, praised, and validated by others. This third practice will show you how to find your worth from within, not from the opinions of people around you. Let's be honest about something most people never want to admit. You're probably addicted to other people's approval. You check how many likes your posts get. You feel good when someone compliments you and bad when they don't. You change your behavior depending on who's watching. You say yes when you want to say no because you're afraid someone might not like you. This isn't your fault. Society trained you to be this way. From childhood, you learned that being good meant making others happy with you. But here's the problem. When your happiness depends on other people's reactions, you're giving away your power to people who might not even care about your well-being. Pay attention to how often you do things just to get a positive reaction. Notice how you feel when someone doesn't respond the way you hoped. This awareness is the first step toward freedom. You can't change what you don't see clearly. Your worth isn't determined by how many people like you, how successful you appear, or how perfectly you perform in any role. Your value exists simply because you exist. This sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest truths for most people to accept. Start looking for qualities in yourself that have nothing to do with other people's opinions. Maybe you're naturally curious about the world. Maybe you're kind to animals. Maybe you appreciate beauty in small things. These qualities don't need anyone else's permission to be valuable. The goal isn't to become arrogant or to stop caring about others completely. It's to develop a steady sense of self-worth that doesn't rise and fall based on external feedback. When you know your own value, you can receive both compliments and criticism without being thrown off balance. Here's something that might surprise you. Some of the most powerful actions you can take are the ones nobody ever sees. Help someone without telling anyone about it. Do good work without needing credit. Solve problems without announcing your contribution. This practice builds something much stronger than ego. It builds character. When you do good things in secret, you prove to yourself that you don't need external recognition to feel fulfilled. You start to understand that the satisfaction of helping others is enough reward by itself. This shift changes everything about how you move through the world. Most people spend their lives performing for an audience that isn't even paying attention. But when you learn to find meaning in actions that go unnoticed, you discover a type of freedom that very few people ever experience. You become motivated by inner satisfaction rather than outer applause. Now that you've learned to find worth within yourself rather than seeking it from others, the fourth habit will teach you something equally liberating: how to find richness through having less, not more. This practice of voluntary simplicity isn't about becoming poor or depriving yourself. It's about discovering what you actually need versus what society tells you to want. Look around your living space right now. How many things do you see that you haven't used in months? How many items did you buy thinking they would make you happy, only to forget about them weeks later? Most people's homes are filled with objects that own them rather than the other way around. Start with one drawer, one closet, or one corner of a room. Ask yourself a simple question about each item. Does this add real value to my life, or am I keeping it out of habit? You'll be surprised how many things you own simply because you once owned them, not because they serve any current purpose. The goal isn't to live like a monk with nothing. It's to surround yourself only with things that either serve a practical purpose or bring you genuine joy. When you clear away the excess, you create space, physical space that translates into mental space. Your environment starts supporting your peace instead of cluttering your mind. Your time is being stolen every day, but the thieves aren't strangers. They're activities and commitments that you agreed to without really thinking. Your calendar is probably packed with obligations that drain your energy and add no real value to your life. Practice saying no to things that don't align with what truly matters to you. This doesn't make you selfish. It makes you selective. When you stop filling every moment with busy work, you create space for experiences that actually nourish your soul. The ancient wisdom teaches that a full schedule is often an empty life. When you're constantly rushing from one thing to another, you miss the beauty that exists in quiet moments between activities. Simplifying your commitments gives you permission to move through life at a pace that allows you to actually experience it. Your mind is being fed junk food every day in the form of useless information. News that makes you angry about things you can't control. Social media that makes you compare your real life to other people's highlight reels. entertainment that numbs your mind instead of inspiring it. Try this. For 1 week, dramatically reduce your information input. Skip the news. Avoid scrolling through social media. Choose books or podcasts that teach you something meaningful instead of just filling time. Notice how this affects your mental state and energy levels. You don't need to stay informed about every crisis in the world or every opinion on the internet. Your mental peace is more valuable than being up to date on things that don't directly affect your life. Protecting your mind from information pollution is just as important as protecting your body from physical pollution. With your external life simplified and your need for approval quieted, you are now ready for the 5th habit, one that will fundamentally change your relationship with your own mind. This practice involves learning to observe your thoughts the same way. You might watch clouds passing in the sky with curiosity rather than attachment. Here's something most people never realize. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices the thoughts. Think about that for a moment. If you can observe a thought, then there must be a part of you that exists separate from that thought. This observer part of you is always calm, always present, always free. Most people get completely caught up in whatever their mind produces. If they have an angry thought, they become angry. If they have a worried thought, they become worried. But when you learn to step back and watch your thoughts like a scientist studying interesting specimens, everything changes. Start practicing this right now. Notice whatever thought just popped into your head. Instead of following that thought or judging it, simply observe it with gentle curiosity. You might say to yourself, "Oh, there's a worry thought," or "Here comes a planning thought." You're not trying to stop the thoughts. You're just learning to recognize them without getting swept away. After practicing this observation for a while, you'll start to notice that your mind has favorite themes. Maybe it loves to worry about things that haven't happened yet. Maybe it enjoys replaying conversations from the past. Maybe it has a habit of comparing you to other people or criticizing your appearance. These mental patterns are like old records that play over and over. Once you can see them clearly, they lose much of their power over you. You realize that these thoughts aren't delivering important messages. They're just mental habits running on autopilot. The key is to observe these patterns without getting frustrated with yourself. Your mind developed these habits over many years as a way to try to protect you or solve problems. Thank these thoughts for trying to help, but understand that you don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. Here's where things get really interesting. As you become skilled at watching your thoughts, you'll start to notice something amazing. There are tiny gaps of silence between thoughts. These gaps might last only a fraction of a second at first, but they're always there. In these silent spaces, you'll discover something precious, your natural state of peace. This peace isn't something you have to create or earn. It's already there, waiting quietly beneath all the mental noise. Learning to rest in these gaps, even briefly, gives you access to a source of calm that never runs out. With practice, these gaps get longer, and you get better at noticing them. You start to realize that thoughts come and go, but the peaceful awareness that notices them remains constant. This awareness becomes your refuge, a place you can always return to no matter how chaotic your external circumstances become. You've learned to meditate, to listen deeply, to free yourself from others' opinions, to simplify your life, and to watch your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Now comes the final habit that ties everything together, the practice of silent gratitude. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel thankful. It's about training your eyes to see the gifts that are already everywhere around you. Right now, you're breathing without thinking about it. Your heart is beating without your permission. Your body is performing thousands of complex processes to keep you alive, and you don't have to manage any of them. These aren't small things. They're miracles happening inside you every single moment. Start paying attention to things you normally take for granted. The warmth of sunlight on your skin. The taste of water when you're thirsty. The fact that your legs carry you wherever you want to go. The way your eyes can see colors and your ears can hear music. Most people live their entire lives without really noticing these gifts. This practice isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring real problems. It's about recognizing that even in difficult times, there are still countless things working in your favor. When you train yourself to see these everyday miracles, you discover that you're already living surrounded by abundance. Here's something that might sound strange. Your problems are often your greatest teachers. Every challenge you faced has taught you something about yourself, about life, or about what really matters. The times when you felt most lost often led you to discover inner strength you didn't know you had. Think about a difficult period in your past. Can you see now how that experience, as painful as it was, helped shape you into who you are today? Maybe it taught you compassion for others going through similar struggles. Maybe it showed you what you're truly capable of handling. Maybe it clarified what's really important in your life. This doesn't mean you should seek out suffering or pretend to be happy about painful experiences. It means learning to find the hidden gifts that often come wrapped in difficult packages. When you can appreciate the lessons that challenges bring, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and become a student of life. Every day, countless people contribute to your life in ways you probably never think about. The farmer who grew your food, the person who built the roads you drive on, the inventor who created the technology you use, the teacher who taught you to read. Your life is possible because of the efforts of millions of people you'll never meet. Take a moment to silently appreciate all the invisible hands that make your daily life possible. The people who deliver your mail, who keep the lights on, who ensure clean water flows from your tap. This web of support exists all around you, yet most people never acknowledge it. This practice expands your sense of connection to the world. Instead of feeling isolated or self-sufficient, you begin to understand how deeply interconnected all life really is. This recognition naturally generates a quiet gratitude that needs no words or grand gestures. Just a gentle appreciation for the gift of being part of this vast, cooperative human experience. There you have it. 6 simple habits that can transform your relationship with silence and, ultimately, with life itself. You now have the tools to find peace in a noisy world, to listen with your whole being, to free yourself from the exhausting need for approval, to live with less but feel richer, to watch your thoughts without being controlled by them, and to see the gifts that surround you every day. But here's the thing, knowing these habits isn't enough. The real magic happens when you start practicing them, one small step at a time. Pick one that resonates with you most and begin there. Let it become part of your daily routine before moving to the next. If this video helped you discover something new about finding peace in silence, I'd be grateful if you'd hit that subscribe button. There's so much more wisdom to explore together, and your subscription helps me continue sharing these life-changing practices. And if you know someone who's struggling to find quiet in their busy life, please share this video with them. Sometimes the most powerful gift you can give someone is showing them a path to inner peace. Remember, the journey to a peaceful life doesn't require you to change everything at once. It just requires you to begin.